They say the line between a hero and a villain is razor thin. But I ask you, what happens when that line is erased completely? The man we are discussing today wasn't a common street criminal. He wore the uniform. He wore the badge. He swore an oath to protect this city, right up until the day he decided to burn it to the ground. February 2013. Los Angeles entered a state of lockdown not seen since the '92 riots. The second largest police department in America wasn't hunting. They were being hunted. The enemy knew their radio frequencies. He knew their patrol routes. And he knew where they lived. He left behind an 11,000-word manifesto. It wasn't a suicide note. It was a declaration of war. He wrote, "I know your tactics. I will bring unconventional warfare to your doorsteps. And I will not stop until the name Dorner is cleared." His name was Christopher Dorner. And this is the story of how America's golden boy became the police force's worst nightmare. Pull up a chair. This file is dark. To understand the magnitude of the fall, we must appreciate the height from which he fell. Christopher Dorner didn't wake up one morning and decide to become a cop killer. He was engineered year by year, rejection by rejection, to become the ultimate antagonist. Born in New York in 1979, but raised in the affluent, predominantly white suburbs of Southern California, Dorner learned a painful lesson very early. He was different. In his manifesto, he recounted incidents from elementary school, being the only black child in his class, being called racial slurs on the playground. Most children would react with tears or withdrawal. Dorner reacted with something else, a rigid, almost militant adherence to the rules. He believed that if he was perfect, if he was faster, stronger, and more disciplined than everyone else, the system would have to respect him. He wasn't just trying to succeed, he was trying to become undeniable. This drive led him to the U.S. Navy. He didn't just join, he excelled. He became a lieutenant. He commanded a riverine security unit. He held a top-secret security clearance. He was trained in intelligence, aviation warfare, and crisis management. The military gave him what he craved: structure. A world where rank and merit meant everything. A world where black and white didn't matter. Only the uniform mattered. But Dorner wanted more. He wanted to bring that sense of honor back home. In 2005, he applied to the Los Angeles Police Department. The LAPD Academy is grueling. It breaks you down to build you back up. Dorner thrived there. But there were warning signs. During training, he once accidentally shot himself in the hand while reholstering his weapon, a rookie mistake. But instead of laughing it off, Dorner was humiliated. He felt his perfection was stained. But the real shock came when he hit the streets. He graduated in 2006, right into a department that was still recovering from the Rampart scandal, one of the worst corruption cases in U.S. history. Dorner walked in with the Navy's code of honor. He expected his fellow officers to be Captain Americas. Instead, he found tired, cynical men and women who bent the rules to get the job done. He was the Boy Scout in a room full of wolves, and the wolves didn't like him. The day that ended Christopher Dorner's life, metaphorically speaking, was July 28th, 2007. Dorner was still a probationary officer, meaning he was being evaluated. His training officer was Sergeant Teresa Evans. Evans was a veteran, tough, respected. She was everything Dorner wanted to be. They were called to the DoubleTree Hotel in San Pedro. A man named Christopher Gedler was causing a disturbance. Gedler suffered from severe schizophrenia and dementia. He was shouting, refusing to leave. Now, pay attention to the details. This is where the narrative splits into two realities. According to the official police report filed by Evans, they subdued Gedler after a struggle. Routine, standard procedure. But 2 weeks later, Dorner walked into a supervisor's office and dropped a bombshell. He claimed that after Gettler was handcuffed and sitting on a bench, Officer Evans kicked him twice, once in the chest and once brutally in the face. Dorner stated, "It made me sick. I saw the boot connect with his jaw. I saw the intent. Why did he wait 2 weeks? He said he was afraid. He knew the code. You don't rat on your superior." But his conscience, that rigid moral compass, wouldn't let him sleep. The LAPD Internal Affairs Division had a choice: investigate the abuse of a mentally ill man, or investigate the rookie who broke the code of silence. They chose the latter. They brought in witness testimony. The victim, Christopher Gettler, testified. Despite his schizophrenia, he clearly stated, "I was kicked. The police kicked me." But the department dismissed him. They said he was mentally unstable. They said his testimony was unreliable. Then, they looked at the medical records. Gettler had a bruise on his face. Consistent with a kick? Maybe. Or maybe consistent with falling during the struggle, as Evans claimed. It was Dorner's word against a decorated sergeant. And in the LAPD, rank is truth. The disciplinary hearing known as the Board of Rights was held in 2008. Dorner's defense attorney was a police captain named Randall Kwan. Keep that name in mind, Randall Kwan. Dorner believed Kwan would fight for him. He believed the truth was a shield that could not be broken. But as the hearing went on, Dorner realized he wasn't on trial for making a mistake. He was on trial for betrayal. The board came to a conclusion that defied logic. They ruled that not only did the kick never happen, but that Dorner knew it never happened. They ruled that he maliciously invented the story to destroy Officer Evans' career. Imagine the psychological impact. You are a man who defines his entire existence by honor. You tell the truth about brutality, and the system calls you a liar. On September 4th, 2008, the hammer fell. Christopher Dorner was terminated. He stood in that hearing room, stripping off the uniform he had worshipped since he was a child. He handed over his badge. He handed over his gun. Witnesses said he didn't cry. He didn't scream. He just went cold. For the next 5 years, he tried to play by their rules. He appealed to the chief of police. Denied. He appealed to the California Superior Court. Denied. He appealed to the Court of Appeals. Denied. He watched his life savings disappear into legal fees. He watched his friends abandon him. He ended up living with his mother, working odd jobs, seething in a room filled with court documents. He realized that the golden boy was dead. The system had killed him. In his mind, the contract was broken. If the law wouldn't give him justice, he would become the law. He stopped seeing people as human beings. He started seeing them as targets and collateral damage. He began to buy weapons, silencers, high-capacity magazines, body armor. He began to track the movements of the people who sat on that Board of Rights. Specifically, he tracked Captain Randall Kwan, the man who failed to defend him. The golden boy was gone. The hunter was born. History often asks, could we have stopped it? Were there signs with Christopher Dorner? The answer is a chilling yes. On February 1st, 2013, 2 days before the first body fell, a package arrived at the CNN headquarters in New York addressed to Anderson Cooper. Inside wasn't a bomb, it was a DVD, a manifesto, and a souvenir coin riddled with bullet holes. Specifically, 3 bullet holes. One in the center, one at the top, one at the bottom. A grouping so tight it could only be made by an expert marksman. It was a souvenir coin from the LAPD Chief of Police, William Bratton. The symbolism was deafening. Dorner was telling the media, "I am shooting at the heart of the leadership." But the package wasn't opened in time. It sat in a mailroom while Dorner loaded his magazines. Sunday, February 3rd. The Super Bowl Sunday. The streets were quiet. In Irvine, California, Monica Kwan and her fiancé, Keith Lawrence, were sitting in their car on the top floor of their parking garage. They were young. They were in love. They had just gotten engaged. Keith was a college basketball coach. Monica was an assistant coach. They had absolutely nothing to do with police corruption. They were innocent civilians. But Monica had one fatal flaw in Dorner's eyes: her last name. She was the daughter of Randall Quan, the captain who had failed to defend Dorner 5 years prior. This is the moment Christopher Dorner lost his soul. If he had targeted the corrupt officers, some might have called him a vigilante. But he didn't. He utilized a military tactic known as soft target engagement. If you can't hit the general, you hit his family. He walked up to their Kia Optima. He didn't say a word. He fired multiple rounds into the car. In his manifesto, he left a message specifically for Randall Quan: "I never had the opportunity to have a family of my own, so I am terminating yours." It was cold. It was calculated. And it was pure evil. The next day, the manifesto went live on Facebook. It was titled "Last Resort," but the police called it something else: the hit list. It contained the names of 40 law enforcement officers. He categorized them. He listed their home addresses. He listed their daily routines. But the most terrifying part wasn't the names. It was the methodology. Dorner declared he was engaging in asymmetric warfare. He wrote, "I will utilize every bit of small arms training, demolition, ordnance, and survival training I've been given." You have misjudged a sleeping giant. The psychological impact was nuclear. The LAPD didn't just have to find a killer. They had to protect 50 different families simultaneously. Officers pulled their children out of school. They parked patrol cars on their front lawns. They slept with shotguns by their beds. For the first time in history, the hunters were terrified of being hunted. February 7th, Riverside, 1:30 a.m. Dorner was no longer hiding in the shadows. He was on the prowl. 2 LAPD officers were on protection duty, guarding a target's home. A vehicle drove past them. The officers recognized Dorner. They radioed it in and gave chase, but they underestimated him. Dorner didn't run. He stopped. He got out of his car with a rifle and engaged them immediately. He pinned them down with suppressive fire and vanished into the night. But he wasn't done. 20 minutes later, a few miles away, Officer Michael Crane and his partner were sitting at a red light in their patrol car. They were on routine patrol. They had nothing to do with Dorner's firing. They likely didn't even know who he was. Dorner pulled his truck up alongside them. He didn't look for a specific name on his list. He just saw a uniform. That was enough. He unleashed a volley of rifle fire into the cruiser. Officer Crane, a father of 2, was killed instantly. His partner was critically wounded. This changed everything. Dorner had moved from revenge to terrorism. Any cop, anywhere, was now a target. By the morning of February 7th, Christopher Dorner was the most wanted man in America. A $1 million reward was placed on his head. Drones were deployed. Helicopters swept the grid. Thousands of officers scoured the streets. And yet, he vanished. Like a ghost, he slipped through the dragnet. Reports came in from everywhere. He was in Mexico. He was in Las Vegas. He was right behind you. The paranoia was palpable. And as we will see in the next chapter, fear makes people do terrible, irrational things. The LAPD was about to make a mistake that would turn the public against them. There is a military term called the fog of war. It describes the confusion, uncertainty, and chaos that descends upon a battlefield. On the morning of February 7th, that fog descended on Los Angeles. But it wasn't caused by Dorner. It was caused by fear. You see, the LAPD wasn't used to fighting a ghost. They were used to fighting gang members who held pistols sideways. Dorner was different. He was a phantom who had promised to bring unconventional warfare to their doorsteps. Paranoia is a dangerous drug. And on that Thursday morning, the entire police force was overdosing on it. Every shadow looked like Dorner. Every blue truck looked like a tank. Torrance, California, 5 a.m. Officers were guarding the home of a high-ranking official listed in Dorner's manifesto. They were on edge. They had been told Dorner was driving a charcoal gray 2005 Nissan Titan. Then a truck turned the corner. It was a blue 2004 Toyota Tacoma. Different make, different model, different color. But fear doesn't check details. As the truck drove slowly, because it was delivering newspapers, the officers didn't turn on their sirens. They didn't use their loudspeakers. They didn't shout, "Freeze." They opened fire. They unleashed a hail of lead that would make a war zone look tame. 103 rounds were fired. Let that sink in. 103 rounds. Inside the truck was not the 270-pound black ex-Navy commando Christopher Dorner. Inside were Margie Carranza and her 71-year-old mother, Emma Hernandez. Two terrified Latina women huddled on the floorboards, screaming as their vehicle was shredded by the people sworn to protect them. Miraculously, they survived. But the image of that bullet-riddled truck became the defining symbol of the manhunt. And it didn't stop there. Just 25 minutes later, a few blocks away, Torrance police rammed another truck. A black Honda Ridgeline. Again, wrong make, wrong model, wrong color. They opened fire on the driver. Fortunately, they missed. The city was in chaos. The LAPD had effectively declared war on pickup trucks. Citizens were taping signs to their vehicles that read, "Don't SHOOT. I'm not DORNER." Dorner hadn't fired a single shot in Torrance. He didn't have to. The police were doing his work for him. They were terrorizing the city. This incompetence changed the narrative. Before the blue truck incident, Dorner was seen as a maniac. After the blue truck incident, the internet began to view him differently. People started reading his manifesto. They read about the racism. They read about the corruption. And then they looked at the bullet holes in the innocent women's truck, and they thought, maybe he's right. Can't Corner the Dorner became a meme. Facebook fan pages popped up. He became a twisted sort of folk hero, a dark knight punishing a corrupt system. It was a dangerous sentiment, but it showed just how little trust the public had in the LAPD. While the police were shooting innocent women in the city, Christopher Dorner was 80 miles away, high in the San Bernardino Mountains. On the afternoon of February 7th, a local found a burning truck on a Forest Service road near Big Bear Lake. It was Dorner's Nissan Titan. He had torched it to destroy evidence. Inside, they found weapons, camping gear, and a map, but no Dorner. The tracks led away from the truck and vanished into the snow. The hunt moved from the concrete jungle to the actual wilderness. This was Dorner's playground. He was trained in survival. He knew how to live off the land. He knew how to hide from thermal imaging. For 6 days, a massive blizzard hit the mountain. It wiped away tracks. It grounded helicopters. It froze the search teams. Nature itself seemed to be protecting him. While hundreds of officers shivered in the cold, checking vacant cabins, Christopher Dorner was watching them. He wasn't in a cave. He wasn't in a hole. He was hiding in plain sight, while helicopters with heat-seeking cameras circled the freezing forests and SWAT teams kicked down doors of empty sheds. Christopher Dorner was comfortable. He wasn't shivering in a cave. He wasn't buried in a snowbank. He was sitting on a couch watching cable TV in Unit 203 of the Mountain View Resort. The irony is staggering. The condo was located right across the street from the police command post. He could look out the window and watch the very people hunting him. How did they miss him? They didn't. They knocked on his door early in the search, but no one answered. So, they left. They assumed the unit was empty. Dorner sat there for days, cleaning his weapons, waiting for the storm to pass. Tuesday, February 12th. The condo owners, Jim and Karen Reynolds, arrived to check on their property. They unlocked the door and walked in. From the shadows, Christopher Dorner stepped out with a gun. Imagine the terror. The most wanted man in America is standing in your living room. But this interaction revealed a confusing side of Dorner. He didn't kill them. He tied them up. He told them, "I don't have a problem with you. I just want to clear my name." He took their car keys, a purple Nissan Rogue, and fled. It was his first mistake. One of the hostages managed to reach a cell phone and dialed 911. The ghost was back on the radar. The call went out. Officers spotted the purple Nissan. Dorner wasn't running anymore. He was attacking. As he passed two game wardens on the mountain road, he leaned out the window and opened fire. He eventually crashed the Nissan into a snowbank. He bailed out. But he didn't run into the woods this time. He ran towards a defensive position. He hijacked a silver truck, but crashed that too. Finally, he sprinted towards a vacant cabin known as the Seven Oaks. It was a perfect fortress. Elevated ground, thick walls, clear lines of sight. He barricaded himself inside. He had his .308 sniper rifle. He had smoke grenades. He was ready to die. The San Bernardino sheriff's deputies approached the cabin. They tried to set up a perimeter, but they forgot who they were dealing with. Dorner was an expert marksman. As Detective Jeremiah Mackay and his partner moved into position, shots rang out. They never saw him. The bullets punched through the cabin walls with terrifying accuracy. Detective Mackay was hit. He fell in the snow. The firefight was intense. Officers dragged Mackay to safety under a hail of gunfire, but it was too late. He became the fourth and final victim of Christopher Dorner. The police were pinned down. They couldn't get close. Tear gas canisters thrown by hand couldn't reach the cabin. They were at a stalemate, and the sun was going down. This is where the story enters the realm of conspiracy and controversy. The police were done risking lives. They brought in a demolition vehicle to tear down the walls, but Dorner didn't surrender. Then, over the police scanners, which were being broadcast live to thousands of listeners online, a command was heard. Voice 1, we're going to go forward with the plan. Burners. Voice 2, 7 burners deployed. Burners refers to CS gas canisters that are pyrotechnic. They burn at incredibly high temperatures. They are known to start fires. The police knew this. They fired the canisters into the wooden cabin. Within minutes, the cabin was an inferno. The police claimed they didn't intentionally start the fire. They claimed they just wanted to force him out, but the audio recordings suggest otherwise. One officer was heard saying, "Burn that motherfucker down." As the roof began to collapse, there was no scream, no plea for mercy. A single gunshot echoed from the basement. Christopher Dorner put his pistol to his head. He chose the time. He chose the place. The heat was so intense that his ammo stockpile began to cook off, popping like popcorn in the fire. The police waited for hours until the embers cooled. When they finally entered the basement, they found a charred body and a wallet with a California driver's license. The manhunt was over, but the questions? They were just beginning. When the smoke cleared over Big Bear, the LAPD let out a collective sigh of relief. The monster was dead. The threat was over. But the stain on their reputation? That was permanent. Remember the 2 women in the blue truck? Margie Carranza and Emma Hernandez? The city of Los Angeles paid them a settlement of $4.2 million. It was hush money to cover up one of the most incompetent moments in police history. But money couldn't buy back trust. The public had seen the police force unmasked. They saw a militarized, panicked gang that was willing to shred the Constitution just to protect themselves. Dorner wanted to expose their brutality, and in a twisted way, he succeeded. Then, something disturbing happened. Usually, when a man kills 4 people, including the daughter of a police captain, He is universally reviled. But Christopher Dorner became a folk hero. Online, the hashtag #TeamDorner trended. People printed t-shirts. They called him the Dark Knight. Rappers wrote songs about him. Why? Because for many people in Los Angeles, Dorner was the only man brave enough to punch back at a bully. They didn't see a killer. They saw a symbol of rage against a broken system. They ignored the innocent bodies he left behind and focused only on his war against the badge. It is a dangerous thing when a society starts cheering for the villain. It means the heroes have failed us completely. But the biggest twist in this story didn't happen on the mountain. It happened months later in a quiet office. Under immense pressure, the LAPD was forced to reopen the investigation into Dorner's firing, the event that started it all. They reviewed the Christopher Gettler kicking incident from 2007, and guess what they found? They found that other witnesses did see a struggle. They found that the kick was biologically possible. They found that Dorner's account did align with certain facts. While they never officially reinstated him, independent analysts looked at the files and concluded Dorner was likely telling the truth. He wasn't a liar. He was a whistleblower who was crushed by the blue wall of silence. So, how do we judge Christopher Dorner? Was he a victim? Yes. He was betrayed by the system he loved. Was he a monster? Absolutely. He murdered Monica Kwan and Keith Lawrence, two innocent people who had nothing to do with his pain. There is no honor in that. That is not justice. That is cruelty. He became the very thing he hated. He hated bullies, yet he bullied an entire city. He hated injustice, yet he executed people without trial. There is an old saying, he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. Christopher Dorner stared into the abyss of the LAPD for too long, and the abyss stared back. He is gone now. His manifesto has been scrubbed from the internet. His truck is just scrap metal. But the fear he planted, that is still alive. Every time an officer looks in their rearview mirror, every time a department thinks about silencing a whistleblower, the ghost of Christopher Dorner is watching. He pauses. A slight, chilling smile appears. We create our own demons, don't we? And sometimes they come back to burn the house down. Until the next file, keep the lights on. Subscribe for the next investigation.